There was a thunderstorm, and I expected to hear the call to lower the boats again. I felt worse than I did when we were wrecked. Another passenger was buried this morning. It's too awful. Hello, and welcome to Ship's Nerds Anonymous podcast with me, DK. As your host for Titanic Week, I will narrate a series of episodes focused on the RMS Carpathia, a ship famously known for rescuing the survivors of the Titanic disaster. From April 11th to April 18th, I will break down the events that took place on board the Carpathia, share profiles of the ship's crew and passengers, read testimonies, and more. The words I just shared were written by Kate Buss in response to the unusual weather experienced by the Carpathia and its passengers on April 16th. That day, they encountered thunderstorms and heavy seas after leaving the ice field within the North Atlantic Ocean. On April 17th, rain continued to pour down onto the decks of the Carpathia. On board, there was a mixture of sorrow and despair. Survivors were still grappling with the events that had led to so many loved ones being lost at sea. The sounds of the Carpathia's whistle blowing every half minute only added to the restlessness felt by the survivors. Mrs. Timothy Hargrove expressed that the party had all lost courage. Many passengers aboard the Carpathia just want to return home, having wandered around the decks and sat in the rain with others who were suffering from illness. One passenger, Reuben Weidman, remarked, "I have had all I want, and now I have one desire, to get back to Albany and try to forget those heartrending scenes witnessed among the unfortunates who lost their loved ones on the Titanic." As time went on, survivors began to open up about the disaster. By April 17th, some started to share their experiences with the other passengers on the Carpathia. During a card game, an unnamed waiter told an unknown steward that when someone informed him that the ship was sinking, he had replied, "Don't make me laugh." Jack Thayer, who had lost his father in the sinking, shared his story with journalist L.D. Skidmore, sketched the sequences of the Titanic sinking based on Thayer's recollections. One surprising account came from the American tennis player Richard Norris Williams, who survived the disaster but suffered severe frostbite on his legs. Upon examination, one of the doctors aboard the Carpathia stated that his legs needed to be amputated. "I refuse to give you permission," Williams replied. "I'm going to need those legs." To save them, he created a daily routine of walking around the Carpathia's decks every 2 hours. This effort helped him regain sensation to his lower body, ultimately saving his legs. Williams then would later go on to compete in the 1924 Paris Olympics and win a gold medal in the men's mixed doubles. Meanwhile, in the wireless cabin, Harold Cottam continued transmitting messages to official traffic. However, the conditions in the radio shack became chaotic as he struggled to clear the air amidst the confusion of signals from shore stations and other ships. Having had no sleep since April 14th, his exhaustion overtook him. Titanic's junior wireless operator, Harold Bride, took over for Cottam that day, allowing him to rest. Throughout that day and into the following day, Cottam fell asleep fully clothed every hour. While the ship remained in mourning, the daily routine resumed. Breakfast was served at 8 a.m., followed by a series of activities with dinner and supper in between. However, there was no music or dancing. This was not a voyage of celebration. It wouldn't be long until the ordeal ended. In tomorrow's episode, we will conclude the series with the Carpathia's arrival to New York and what transpired following that fateful scene at Pier 54.